A happy Thursday to you and yours, and welcome inside the vault for a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. It is the 24th of July. Ravens training camp rolls on in full form, and I got a whole lot of content to get to throughout the course of the next hour or so. I'm Bobby Trossett. My co-host and partner, Sarah Ellison, is spending some time with one of her best friends in the Columbus area with a little lake day before she leaves the area. Not Sarah, but her best friend who's relocating. So I'm glad that she was able to get that time with her. And Sarah will be solo tomorrow since I'll be in New York for work. Looking forward to meeting with Bosley and continuing our conversations on future sponsorship opportunities. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. Obviously, press conferences are in full swing this week. And yesterday, Lamar Jackson spoke, John Harbaugh spoke, Roquan Smith spoke. It was a busy day, and it will be today as well. Practice this week begins somewhere in that 2 o'clock hour, and typically the press conferences follow in the 4 o'clock hour. So Sarah's going to have a lot tomorrow, and I have a lot today for you. If you could on the way in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell. Did you catch what Lamar had to say about his newest Ravens teammate and his former teammate, his collegiate teammate, that is, Jaire Alexander, during his press conference yesterday? If not, I'm going to show you and tell you and have you listen to what he had to say. We'll get to that in just a bit. Roquan Smith shared his perspective. It's going to be an entire segment on the newest Ravens corner, Jaire Alexander, who joins the group, having been brought in the latter half in free agency. Then Lamar yet again puts the league on notice. Dude's only 28 years old, and he wants everybody to know that he's got plenty left in the tank to give. So be on the lookout for that. There will be quick hits. There will be a number of other things that we have to get to as training camp rolls on from Baltimore. Thank you guys for being here. TheVaultPod.com is now live. And if you go to TheVaultPod.com/shop, you can check out our entire apparel line that we just rolled out within the last couple weeks. It's been mightily successful. We'll tell you about it more later on in the show. We'll get to super chats as well. But as always, Douglas H. Brown Sr. got us started before the show began, literally an hour and 14 minutes before the show started. And Douglas wrote, very excited about everything that is going on in this house. DHB Sr. is in the house and threw out a 5-channel membership gift as well. So 5 new Voltrons now have access and can now become more involved with the channel. So thanks, Douglas, for getting it started. We'll get to Eric and everybody else that was kind enough to gift well before our show began. I appreciate you guys for being here. Jeff Zarebek is where we begin of The Athletic, and he noted that it was a nice first practice for Jaire. He had 2 pass breakups and enjoyed celebrating both of them. There's the celebration right there. Lamar talked about what he saw and even tested his former teammate on.
I tried to get him on a fade route with D-Hop. We was a little bit out of bounds. We was out of bounds a little, but he's still that guy. Jaire's still that guy, man.
Still that guy. The Ravens are betting on it. They didn't necessarily let me just mute that. Sorry about that. They didn't necessarily make too big of a risk by bringing in Jaire Alexander and DeAndre Hopkins. For the most part, both of those acquisitions were team-friendly, short-term kinds of deals. But this is for real. Your eyes are not deceiving you. DeAndre Hopkins and Jaire Alexander are Baltimore Ravens, and this is courtesy of Ravens Productions yesterday, them making their way out onto the practice field. It is real. And what I know a large part of this fan base hopes is real is what their impact can be. D-Hop off to a good start, made a nifty back shoulder catch, according to Jeff's view, on Alexander, despite good coverage that came along with it. The referee may have ruled him out, but again, this is pre-pads, pre-training camp really being bullets haven't exactly started to fly just yet. But after that, from one vet to another, paying respect, was Jaire bowing towards DeAndre Hopkins to express his respect. Roquan Smith chimes in on the new acquisition.
Addition for us. I remember coming out of college with that guy in 2018, and guy's been playing great ball for a long time. Just to have that addition on our defense, I think it's very special. And obviously, we have a loaded secondary. But it's not about paper; it's about what you do out on the field. And I know those guys know that as well. So we're excited about the opportunity to continue to keep getting better with each other, and knowing that the sky's the limit, and we just have to keep chopping away.
Can only get so far as paper champs, as he so often says. And Jonas notes here from the Baltimore Banner, I don't think he's pleased with me today based on what's happened in the Twitter space. We'll get to that in just a bit, but I got a lot of respect for Jonas. Used to have him on my radio show all the time. But he noted that we got our first Jaire seatbelt celebration of camp. He broke up a deep pass to Dayton Wade, the undrafted free agent from a year ago, and got a big ovation from the crowd. And let me just say, the beat community this time of year is paramount, right? It's an absolute necessity. Sarah and I absolutely love to share what the beat community puts forth across social media networks. We love to push those of you in our audience to those beat reporters' work, because ultimately they're the heartbeat of what makes this go this time of year. So wanted to say special thank you to the beat reporter community that are about to be back in their bag for this upcoming season. Lamar, as you heard, right? Quote, I tried him out there today. I tried him on a fade route to D-Hop. He was a little out of bounds. A little. He's still that guy. Jaire is still that guy. John Harbaugh weighs in.
I mean, he had a heck of a play on the sideline there. So important, both sides of the ball, to make plays on the outside throwing lane, that part of the field. You know, from what we call the red line to the sideline or anything in that area. You know, games are won and lost in that area. It's your ability to play single high, making plays on either side or attacking single high. So that's something that's going to be a point of emphasis for us. I thought our DBs did a real nice job today, and we made some nice, one or two nice plays at wide receiver too, and some good throws. So that's important.
Everybody weighing in on Jaire Alexander. He's going to be rocking number 23. Trenton Simpson, if you were wondering, is now number 32. So just keep that in mind as a lot of the content starts to hit the timeline over the next couple weeks. But you heard him there. Harbaugh, quote, he had a heck of a play on the sideline. It's so important to make plays on the outside throwing lane. Games are won and lost in that area. And if Jaire can stay healthy, as we've discussed ad nauseum since this came to fruition several weeks back, the Ravens are going to be in a position where Zach Orr has the ultimate flexibility. Marlon Humphrey can play inside should he so choose to, meaning Zo and his staff. I think we all believe that that's where Marlon is best and most impactful and can use his instincts to the best degree that he knows he can. Nate Wiggins obviously is a blossoming player who just continued to have his work plate increased over and over and over again last year, and he answered the bell seemingly every single time. Cheeto Awuzie, on paper, set like a month ago, was the Brandon Stevens replacement who left in free agency and is now a New York Jet. By the way, some big news this morning on the New York Jets. We'll get to that in quick hits. Spoiler alert, they just cannot catch a break at the quarterback position. But Awuzie now is insurance, really, or depth, if you will. That's all due respect to the guy. $7.5 million is what he's getting from Tennessee to suit up for Baltimore. Titans were ready to move on. The reality is Jaire Alexander should be the starter opposite Nate Wiggins, at least in terms of the projection, you would think, in a perfect world. But let's be clear. Both players have an injury history that was a part of their story throughout the free agency process. So it'll be something to watch. Can this team hold up throughout the process as training camp gets into the heated weeks, heated days, dog days of August? It's the 24th right now. And of course, this is week one as a full arsenal. Rookies reported last week. Everybody reported on Tuesday, and that's where things stand as of right now. I mentioned at the top that Sarah is taking the day off because she has a chance to catch up with one of her best friends that's leaving the Columbus area. She and her family are relocating. So Sarah will be solo tomorrow, and I'm solo today. And that gives me a chance to tell you about thevaultpod.com. You see my shop right now, or my cart. It's 7 items deep because I'm making my second haul, and I hope you guys will consider supporting the program by going to thevaultpod.com/shop. You can check that out by visiting the show notes and or the live chat pinned comment that I have for you. But Carly and her design team, I think, have done a tremendous job to get us up and running. We continue to accept and take feedback from you by email at BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com, which is super helpful. And we're receptive to any and all feedback. T-shirts, hoodies, crew necks, tank tops, more T-shirts, including the dry fit ones, Under Armour based, golf polos, beanies, snapbacks, dad hats. We got it all on here. Bucket hats, those are perfect for the summer. I know that's kind of in right now. The koozies, both for like a high noon type of can and a Budweiser or whatever you're boozing on. Coffee mugs, magnets, stickers, all of this is now available to you at thevaultpod.com/shop. And we just want to say a big thank you. It's been a great start. And it is now available to the public as of this past Wednesday. More Lamar Jackson content on deck, including why he put the league on notice yet again in a recent press conference of his. But first, let's get caught up on Super Chats. Eric Hill has matched Douglas H. Brown Sr.'s initial gift of 5 channel memberships, so 5 new Voltrons. We began the day, by the way, for those of you who like to count, at 830 total. So we're now at 840. Now we're at 845 because Douglas H. Brown Sr. gets back involved. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. You guys never seem to miss an episode, and your generosity is super appreciated. Eric Hill drops in a super chat on top of that gift, and he says, "Good afternoon, everyone. I pray your family is doing better, and to everyone, stay in tune with your health." I will echo that, and I'm not going to get off onto a tangent on this just because we have content to discuss, but it has been one of those weeks where I'm staring at my 31st birthday coming up on Sunday. My parents are not old in the big picture, 62 and 59 respectively, but they've had a week that just makes you kind of stop, and reflect a little bit because my dad's dealing with some heart issues, and my mom had a emergency procedure to repair a detached retina in her right eye. So it's just been one of those weeks when the oldest of 4, and I happen to be here for the summer working on the house and whatnot before I head on down to St. Pete. It hits home, no pun intended. So appreciate that, Eric. And for all of you that are out there with, ailing health parents or, folks that are sick or that you've already lost, my heart goes out to you. No question. Pop Punk Cowboy is celebrating 3 months of channel membership. And I just didn't get to this today. So thank you. I'm going to leave a note for Sarah tomorrow because she'll have press conferences and what Pop Punk Cowboy is addressing. Watch the first 16 minutes of the Zay Flowers, Torrey Smith interview. It really seems like D-Hop is already being a great veteran. Also, Nelly was too. I definitely get the sense that while the production left some to be desired, Nelly was the dude. He had those Florida type of the Florida type of ties with Lamar, and the way this group stays so close and intact. And at times he was timely, a couple timely third down completions. Somebody that's going to be a willing blocker at times. Well, that's not his calling card. It's something that he was willing to do. And most of all, he was a team player. So that's good to know. Pop Punk Cowboy and I will make sure that Sarah is aware of that video so that she can respond accordingly coming up tomorrow. Eric Hill writes, "This sucks. The live starts and duty calls. Got to fight a fire." Eric, I didn't realize you were a fireman, but now that I see your cover photo, it's obvious. So needless to say, I'm sure I speak for the majority of this audience when we say salute to you. Thank you for your service to your community, and please be safe out there. Hopefully it's not too crazy of a fire. Appreciate you, Eric, and appreciate everybody for being here today. Over 700 concurrents at the moment. If you could on the way in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content here inside the channel. So Lamar Jackson spoke with reporters for the first time at 2025 training camp, and my, oh my, does he have visions for what this offense could very well consist of coming up this season.
I believe our offense has no limits because we got guys that can play any position. You know, like you just said, like Zay going to slide, got D-Hop outside, Bait outside. Man, it's no roof. You know, the ceiling's unlimited, you know, for our guys. And I really don't want to get our offense away. You pretty much just put Zay on the spot, put me on the spot. We're going to keep it under the radar until teams got to see us.
I believe it. An MVP caliber campaign, obviously, that was worthy and maybe representative of what should have been an MV3. Voters had another idea, but I think we know how players and coaches and executives, well, some executives, how they feel about this player. Look at how PFF feels about him based on their rankings and metrics. Lamar ranked first in terms of his passing grade against cover 3 with a 91.3 overall number. Big time. That is first league-wide. And a passing grade against cover 6, first 92.5. Guys, I think at this point, you've heard what I've said this week about predicting that we've seen the statistical peak of Lamar Jackson. Am I confident in that? Of course not, because Lamar has earned the right for us to sit here and think at this point in the year prior to the season that anything is possible for number 8. But what I'm not convinced that we've seen yet is his peak when it comes to greatness, is his peak when it comes to the upward trajectory that he is trending in the month of January when it matters the most in the postseason. I don't think we've seen anywhere close to what his ceiling is. Lamar last year, just statistically, in case you forgot, a 66.7 completion percentage, over 4,100 passing yards, 41 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, which is insane, 45 total touchdowns. Okay. The guy was absolutely electric. And oh, by the way, he contributed on the ground as he so often does as well. We know how Lamar does it. And it's not going to surprise any of us. And by the way, I was just searching for the number so that I didn't forget. He had 915 rushing yards last year. Okay. Insanity. Good for 6.6 per carry. Played in all 17 games. Was healthy. And so Lamar is Lamar. He's earned the right to get up there at the podium and say, this offense has absolutely no limits. He also went in a different direction in terms of what could be next for him. Yeah, it's year 8. But this dude's still young, even for football terms. He's still young.
Another level for you still?
Yeah. I'm only 28. I'm really just getting started for real.
I'm only 28. I'm just getting started for real. Okay? Also, when asked about his historic 2024 season, as Sarah transcribed, he said, I was all right. Could have been better. Then the follow-up, a lot of people, this was a different part of the interview, a lot of people will look at your numbers and say, gosh, how can you get better? Do you think there's another level for you still? Yeah, I'm only 28. I'm only just getting started for real. That right there, Lamar Jackson has earned the right to speak like that. And again, it wouldn't surprise me if he finds a way to one-up himself. Something that has always followed him throughout his career, as we know, since that 2018 evening that the Ravens traded back into the first round to go and get their franchise quarterback, has been the Super Bowl, this elusive Lombardi trophy that he guaranteed he would bring to Baltimore in a post-drafting interview moments after hearing his name called as he slipped to 32nd in that interview with Deion Sanders. Well, it's not often that he's even been receptive last year or two to entertaining these questions in a press conference setting when it comes to the Super Bowl. But perhaps, being that it's the start of training camp, he'll address it once and then not touch it with a 10-foot pole moving forward. Regardless, here's how he handled it yesterday.
To be honest, I'm really not trying to think that far, because every time we have those discussions, man, we get to the playoffs, but we don't punch in, we don't finish. So I'm pretty much just trying to finish camp the correct way and then get ready for the Bills. I'm not really trying to think about, the Super Bowl yet.
That's probably the way to go. I don't even view that as deflecting at all. I just think that's a smart way to handle the question. Quote, to be honest, I'm really not trying to think that far because every time we have those discussions, we get to the playoffs, but we don't punch in. We don't finish. I'm just trying to finish camp the right way and then get ready for the Bills. I'm not trying to think about the Super Bowl yet. Methodical. I like it. Present. I like it. Right? Strategic. I like this approach from Lamar, and we've seen it in recent years. So often, it was Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And I think this is slightly speculation, but I think he's made, whether it's indirect or direct, a concerted effort to not hide from it and not shy away from it whatsoever. He knows the guarantee that he made back in April of 2018, but not necessarily allow it to consume him so that while they're experiencing such incredible success from September up until the month of January, that you lose that enjoyment aspect of it. I think that's a real thing. And that's why I'm so strong against the Super Bowl or bust narrative. To me, there are only negative connotations that come along with it. It's a label that essentially alludes to, and this is where national media takes it, and so that all of a sudden it becomes a recycled talking point and fans start casually mentioning it, as they did during a couple training camp interviews that I saw on local news yesterday. The negative connotations that come along with it is if it's Super Bowl or bust in Baltimore, then if they fall short of it, no matter what they accomplished up until that February day, is a waste, isn't good enough, is a failure. And to me, that's hyperbolic. I view that as hyperbolic, very hyperbolic. And I think it demeans what the team has accomplished leading up until that point. The amount that needs to go right to achieve a Super Bowl, the list is endless. Laundry list doesn't even begin to describe it. Now, do I think that those aspirations are helpful and effective and are worthy? Of course. Everybody has those aspirations when you're suiting up as one of the 1%ers in the National Football League. And Lamar, of course, continues to have those aspirations. But if you allow it to overwhelm you and you allow it to consume you throughout the process that it takes, I think you just lose I really do think that you lose the enjoyment level of being in the moment. They have had some extremely special regular season campaigns, and I know for you, the fan, it hasn't been good enough, as it should be. You feel you deserve every right to feel extreme levels of disappointment that the way this team has been constructed to the elite level that it has by Eric DeCosta and his scouting department. It is a darn shame and a major disappointment that they have not reached a Super Bowl yet. But there's context as to why they haven't. Some of that is related to strategizing and game planning, i.e. the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. Some of that has been ball security. You can point to that against the Chiefs. You can certainly point to that in the divisional round game against Buffalo last year. I don't need to remind any of you about that. Some of it has been injury or health related. Look at the 2021 and 2022 seasons. Some of it has just been perhaps premature. I would argue 2019 against Tennessee. The Ravens weren't ready. They were not ready for that. And so I like the way that Lamar is handling this at this point in the Lamar era. He understands what's at stake. He understands the roster that he has in front of him. And I'm sure he understands the business part of this, knowing that as the year goes on, meaning as the years, plural, go on, more and more will it become difficult for Eric DeCosta and his front office to team build should they not get an extension done. I would think that that's got to be at the top of mind. It would not surprise me if a Lamar deal gets done before the end of this training camp, before the start of the season. Obviously, he's got a couple more years left. But the way that cap number continues to go up north and astronomically so, it's going to put Eric and company in a tough position. So ultimately, the priority is clear. It's about now. It's win now mode. There's a sense of urgency in that building. It was palpable during Mark Andrews' press conference. And quite frankly, I think it's been a contagious spirit as I watch a lot of these interviews as training camp gets underway. Another piece to that puzzle is DeAndre Hopkins. Of course, in year one with the Ravens, on the back nine of his career and chasing a title. He's brought in to be wide receiver 3, if you will. Nelson Aguilar is out. D-Hop is in. Lamar, on one of his all-time favorite players, now being his teammate, and manning up together for the first time.
One, D-Hop is a pro, all pro, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest in the league ever. So him just being a new addition going to make my job a lot easier, and me just being older and being in the league 8 years now, everything just pretty much just backhand. Like, I know everything like the back of my hand, and I'm knowing what I'm seeing out there from coverage-wise, a coverage standpoint. He just getting with me, it's like, it's going to be bread and butter when the time comes, but for right now, we just grinding. It's going to be a grind for the first day, and it's great. It's a great process. It's a great process. It's a learning process for both of us.
There's that word again, process. Everything's a process. Quote, for one, D-Hop is a pro, all-pro, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest in the league ever. So him being a new addition is going to make my job a lot easier. Quote, and me being older, being in the league 8 years now, I know everything like the back of my hand. I know what I'm seeing out there coverage-wise, and he's just getting with me now. It's going to be bread and butter when the time comes, but for right now, we're just grinding. What more could you possibly want to hear from your franchise quarterback and the player that enters the system now as the active most receiving yards leader currently in the National Football League? That's what DeAndre Hopkins has. That's the resume that he boasts. And the beauty of it is the Ravens don't need the DeAndre Hopkins of old. They need whatever's left. And they could use whatever's left. And I guess that's maybe even more of the beauty of it. They don't even need whatever's left. When you have Zay and Bate as the complementary duo that they became last year, and the top tight end room in the league, not to mention a bell cow in Derrick Henry, a superstar in Lamar Jackson, a speed demon in Keaton Mitchell, and the ever-reliable, versatile Justice Hill, and a stout offensive line that has some holes that need to be filled, obviously, and figured out at the guard. I mean, pretty darn good position to be in if you're a veteran in DeAndre. And now you can come up with situational awareness opportunities, right? When you got to move the chains and you need 4 and you're backed up in your own territory, perhaps DeAndre's number is called. When you're in the red zone and Lamar's in trouble and you got to loft the ball up there that's 50-50, you expect him to come down with it as the contested catch genius guy that he's been throughout his career. And of course, like Odell Beckham Jr. gave to this team a couple years ago, that veteran savvy, that locker room type of presence. If DeAndre Hopkins can give the Ravens all of that and more, don't you think that that's worth the price of admission? And again, wasn't that much of a steep price to begin with. And the same can be said for Jaire Alexander. That's why I commend how the Ravens front office attacked this offseason. And I continue to commend how Todd Monken continues to absolutely perform with such precision as the play caller in Baltimore over 2 seasons now. And it's year 3, and his job is just getting more and more difficult. But it's a good problem to have, isn't it? It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Looks like Partner's in the chat. Of course she is on her day off. Hopefully enjoying some good lake time. Here's Sarah. Yo, Voltrons. Thank you, Bobby, for giving me a lake day with the family. You already know it. The funny part is she's thanking me, but it was her idea to give me the day tomorrow. It's because she's the best. So I hope you and Natalie and the kids are having a blast. If it's anything like it is in upstate New York today, should be absolutely stunning. So everybody wish Sarah and her family well today. Sure, it's bittersweet since her best friend's getting ready to leave the area, but she's already spoken on that. And Sarah will be solo tomorrow covering for me, so I can go to New York on business and a little bit of pleasure as well, which I'm very much looking forward to. By the way, while I'm on this topic, if you remember, set your alarms, set your calendars, whatever it is for tomorrow morning. I'm going to be on the Today Show set, 30 Rock, in New York City, watching Zach Brown Band play, which I'm really looking forward to. They do a lot of concerts on there. And my aunt, Aunt Karen, is a producer for the Today Show. And that's how I first kind of got my interest in the business way back when, and started working with NBC and interning at the Olympics and all that good stuff. So if you're around, I believe it'll be the 8 o'clock hour, 7 o'clock hour, somewhere in the early morning. I'll be posting about it on Instagram. So appreciate you, partner. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. More training camp notes to get to now, but before we do, let's make sure we get caught up on Super Chats and also tell you about thevaultpod.com, which is officially available to the public. By the way, we got a text from Carly today, and you guys know that Carly is working on our design team. Let's see what she says. Oh, and shout out Jake Asman. He just got us Yankee tickets for Saturday. That's my guy. Carly says, Douglas Brown is your biggest customer. Let's go. DH, baby. DHB Senior is our biggest customer. What a surprise. What a generous subscriber you are, Douglas. And so many of you as well that have already been tagging us and attaching us to different things, emailing us, letting us know that your merch has arrived, which is awesome. And we left off with Eric. So Douglas H. Brown Sr. right on cue about 15 minutes ago says, in honor for what people like Eric does, I am gifting 5 more. Thank you to Douglas and thank you to Eric for what you do, again, in the firefighting community. God King says, I'm going to send you all an email from Rangels. Rangels is my email. What is that? Rangels? Rangles? Let's see if it hit yet. Because if it did, maybe I'll have to pull it up on the screen. Nope, nothing yet. But we've got some really good feedback that continues to pour in, which we're appreciative of. So thanks to God King. Douglas H. Brown Sr., as he said he would, on top of the $5 super chat, has gifted 5 additional channel memberships. So 5 new Voltrons. We began the day at 8:30. We are now at, 8:45. We are now at 850. So chugging our way back to that 1,000 number, slowly but surely. Kevin, celebrating 1 month of channel membership. What's going on, Kevin? Just bought some Vault gear, shirt, snapback, hat. We'll wait to buy the beanie and sweatshirt for wintertime here in Massachusetts. LFG, can't wait. I will tell you, Kevin, I don't know why I bought the sweatshirt in July in the middle of a heat wave, but I love my sweatshirt. It is the perfect fit. It's snug. I just think it's slick. I kind of like this white attire right here. Take a look. This is it right here. The white version. It's got the logo, meaning our Vault wheel on top. 50% pre-shrunk cotton, 50% polyester. Got to be careful with that in the dryer, I think. I haven't even thrown it through yet. But, yeah, I've been really pleased with this. I don't know when the next time I'm going to wear it is. But seeing how I'm going to St. Pete. But at least that's the tentative plan. Maybe a girl will sweep me off my feet in New York this week, and I'll end up pulling out of the lease. You never know. Sod Blitz 34 says, damn, Bobby, you really need custom graphics complete with the Vault gear logo. If only you knew a guy. Sod, what do you mean by that? Custom graphics complete with the Vault gear logo. Custom graphics. Are you talking about like our slides for how we bring things in of that nature? Can you clarify what you mean by that, Sod? I'm pretty sure you've emailed us in the past, haven't you? I know you draw some things up too, if I'm not mistaken. So let me know. Appreciate you, man. Kevin writes, also, I can never catch a live show, but when I do, Sarah is out, LOL. Don't worry, Bobby. You do a great job alone as well. She'll be back tomorrow in solo duty. So you must have been unable to catch us like, well, let's see. Were you probably like last tuned in maybe in June when she was in Switzerland? I mean, she's not often out. There's like a spring break typically. We were doing this the other day because we were like comparing vacation time and setting up like an early look at 2026. Typically, Sarah is like spring break with her kids, a June like pre-summer type thing, or at the start of summer. We both take off July, as you know. I think we're going to do 2 weeks next summer. In our days here and there. I always take the bye week. She doesn't. So it always adds up. But yeah, she'll be solo tomorrow. You'll catch her. DreDog679 says, I'm calling it. D-Hop will have more yards and touchdowns than Butterfingers Bateman. How'd I know you'd be going with that prediction, Dre? We'll see. Look, anything's possible. I'd be pretty shocked. I would be surprised if that were the case. I would be. But anything's possible with Lamar Jackson at the quarterback position. I just don't know if D-Hop's going to get the amount of targets that will warrant a pretty lofty, let's call it bold. So this is a bold prediction. Will he have enough targets to do so? I get the sense that I could see him maybe having more touchdowns if he really ends up developing as a red zone target in this offense. But right now, they're literally working from scratch and trying to work him in, as Lamar said himself in his press conference. Saad says, literally had the perfect graphic for talking about the Ravens run game that matches your screen text too. Okay, Saad. All right. You got to let us know. We've always been known to, with proper attribution, of course, we've always been known to share others' work when it makes sense and when we see fit. So thanks for letting the guy know. Pop Punk Cowboy is back, and he says, bought the black wheel hoodie. Will stain it white. Oh, okay. Cool. Snapback and a koozie. Pop Punk Cowboy's been busy. I love it. Good for you. Which koozie? Beer or like the high noon? And the snapback, I got to tell you, we keep hearing from Carly. The snapback appears to be making its rounds as well. And how could it not? I mean, take a look. Oh, wait a second. Is this new? I didn't know there were different colors to this. There's different colors. And I like the brim. I like the underneath brim being green. It's kind of clean. So look, I guess it comes in what? White? Well, I guess here are the options right here. Black, dark gray, silver, natural/black, and white. Okay. All right. Well, hope you're enjoying that. Good stuff. Appreciate you, Pop Punk Cowboy. And just know, you guys, while it helps out your wardrobe, it helps out the show really immeasurably because we have no idea where you might rock these merch items. Maybe into the bank week 2 against Cleveland, and somebody comes up to you at the tailgate and says, hey, what is that shirt? And maybe they learn of the show, and maybe all of a sudden we have a new subscriber that can make this thing run the way that we've been going. So it really means a lot to see you guys investing in the merch line, and we hope that in return, your money is well spent in your mind. So we'd love to hear from you. BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. So some news and notes, and I will reiterate what I said at the top, particularly given this morning's discourse in the Twitter space, which has gotten a little out of hand, and it certainly was not my plan to do so. But I do want to say that the beat community is a group that we rely heavily on this time of year, and really throughout chunks of the season. They have the direct access to the facility, and they have a direct access to players. We typically go through agents or personal friendships or relationships or whatever that might be, which is how we landed Roquan a couple years ago. But I do want to say, as I always think I do and fit in here, that the beat community, we always try our best to give them their flowers, and most importantly, push you guys, our audience members, to their stuff, because that is how you remain as plugged in as you can possibly be with the team. And then we react accordingly. We always give attribution, and we try to do things right here inside the show. So there were a lot of words being hurled around earlier today that I don't think were exactly reflective or accurate of what it is that we do here inside this channel. But that's that, and this is now. And so John Harbaugh, during his press conference, noted that Jake Hummel, who's the Chris Board replacement, essentially, he is an inside linebacker. They brought him in free agency from the Rams. But he's mostly going to be used as, you would think, barring something unforeseen, as a special teamer. And he's got great ability there, great expertise. You know, Harbaugh loves that. He suffered a non-football hand injury. Looks like it was a cut. That's what Harbaugh said during his presser. And as Jeff notes here, John estimated that he'll miss about a week. So nothing crazy there for number 35. Other than Emory Jones and Ardarius Washington, he was the only player that was not seen by the beat reporters out there practicing. Of course, Emory Jones is beginning on the physically unable to perform list. And Ardarius Washington is obviously unavailable for the foreseeable future, given his torn Achilles that he sustained during that conditioning session several weeks back, which has now thrust Malachi Starks into a position where sure looks like he's got a great opportunity to be your shoo-in starter alongside Kyle Hamilton as a bona fide rookie. What an opportunity for Malachi. And I'm sure there'll be rookie moments and patience that's required along the way, but that'll be something to watch. Speaking of patience, I'm sure Trenton Simpson needed a whole lot of that after he was demoted last year. First quarter of the season did not treat him well. Probably didn't treat Roquan Smith all that well either as his running mate. Granted, what they were being given on the back end underneath pass coverage-wise was really lacking, and I'm sure that was a part of the story. But the reality is, Trenton Simpson got the opportunity to be a full-time starter after Patrick Queen left in free agency to Pittsburgh, and unfortunately lost the job. And the Ravens were faced the rest of the way to lean on a rotation. Malik Harrison on early downs, Chris Board typically on late downs. Now, Roquan coming off an all-pro campaign, even though there's been a lot of chat about his physique, his figure, his conditioning, his play from a year ago. Spent a good portion of this offseason with, I should say, I mean, in a sense, it's his former running mate, but in another sense, it could be his current running mate, should Trenton Simpson win the job. Can Teddy Buchanan say something about that? Perhaps. But here's Roquan sticking his neck out there after spending a lot of time this offseason with Trent.
It was awesome just being with him. Great dude, man. Like he's the type of guy you want to like marry a sister in a sense. So it's like he's that type of guy. Truly a great dude, someone who you always want there like alongside of you, and just like getting to know him, just knowing how he roll. He's like one of those dudes you're like, man, what a special guy. And that's just like off the field and on the field. Obviously, he's a special talent. Like last year was like a rookie year for him because obviously he didn't play the first year with PQ being here and stuff. So I just think the step that he's going to take this upcoming season, I'm very excited to actually see it. And I'm excited for him to show everyone as well because he got a lot of potential. And it's just awesome being able to just break bread with him.
So Roquan on Trenton, very kind words there, including as somebody who has a younger sister, I think I can probably speak to this. I don't know Trenton, so I don't know if I want him with my sister. Well, quite honestly, my sister is spoken for. She's got a fiance, so let's just throw that right now out the window. But Roquan says he's the type of guy you would want to marry your sister in a sense. I just think the step that he's going to take this upcoming season, I'm very excited to actually see it, and I'm excited for him to show everyone as well. He's got a lot of potential, and we've seen that potential in flashes. The one game that sticks out the most to me would probably be the last regular season game of his rookie year when the Ravens rested a number of their starters because they had the top overall seed and bye locked up. And Trenton balled out against Pittsburgh. Sideline to sideline speed, knifing through the offensive line and finding holes, right? He's got tremendous closing speed. He's ferocious. He showed good instinctual habits. And unfortunately, at times, it just seemed like he was doing a little bit too much. And the moment was just ever so slightly big for him as the season began last year, when bullets, real bullets, were flying in the regular season, and he was Roquan Smith's 1B to his 1A. My hope is that Trenton can take a big leap in year 3. And if not, well, that's why the Ravens have other competition in that room. Roquan spoke about rookie linebacker Teddy Buchanan, a day 3 pick out of Cal. And Rowe said this, quote, he's well advanced for a rookie, mentally and obviously physically, but just the way he processes things, even throughout the springtime, I know I wouldn't as a rookie. I think it's very special, and I think he's going to be a very, really good player in this league. Roquan on Teddy Buchanan, friend of the show. We had him on several weeks back. It just comes across as an even keel guy. We wanted to talk a little bit about this perceived competition at inside linebacker. Wouldn't touch it. He's all business. Guy's built like a freight train and has the skill set, you would think, to make this interesting, this upcoming training camp. And if that's the case, man, bring on the spirit of competition, baby. I'm here for that. I'm absolutely here for that. Roquan also spoke big and bold. Quote, we're a special unit, and there's 20 guys that can play out there, referring to his defense. This is probably the most talented defense that I've ever been on. And Jeff noting that he said this offseason focus was on taking care of his body and getting in good shape. And he spoke about that with Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun recently as well. It just sort of begs the question. Did Roquan feel in his heart of hearts that he wasn't as well conditioned as he could have been last year? Despite the All-Pro honor, was it not what he was looking for overall, performance-wise? Maybe. But I like the self-awareness. I like some of the accountability that he shared with Brian Wacker. And why don't I go ahead and just pull that up real quick? Because Sarah and I had it in our recent, I think it was yesterday's show. And let me just off the cuff pull this in because I found this to be pretty enlightening. Again, this is courtesy of Brian Wacker of the Sun. Roquan told him, quote, coming into the year, I was banged up early. Okay, he was not specific about lingering injuries that later led to hamstring issues during the season. So you would think it was lower body. Quote, some of that was just needing to be in better shape, then just focusing on doing my job and not doing anything more or anything less. That to me feels like it's almost an admission in a sense that he needed to come in stronger and faster and more well-conditioned a year ago. And by all accounts, he has done that a year later. And again, in some ways, we're being a little cutthroat here, knowing that Roquan's still coming off an all-pro campaign. But in terms of what his potential is, that's probably why we're willing to have this conversation, because we've seen what his potential is. And he's paid to go ahead and realize that potential. And so while some of these conversations have been a little bit below the belt within the fan base, I think it deserves to be talked about. So much so, an anonymous executive said as much, referred to him as sluggish at times in one of those anonymous pieces that Jeremy Fowler recently put out. Other notes from practice, this comes from Brian as well. And this was early in the afternoon during yesterday's practice, but he said and he noted that it's early. But Lamar had some inaccurate and sloppy throws. The kickers were perfect. We'll get to those specific numbers in just a bit. Keaton Mitchell looks fast, according to Brian. Kyle Hamilton easily dusted a Mark Andrews block. Devontae Walker almost made a spectacular grab on a horribly underthrown ball from Devin Leary. Again, notes from Brian here that I just wanted to kind of cook through. Cordell Woodland from the Fan. Lamar's first completion was a dart to Zay over the middle and taken for a huge gain. Marlon had a nice PBU as he ripped the ball away from Anthony Miller as he caught it. Anthony, of course, is a practice squad wide receiver that was called up for the postseason last year with no Zay Flowers. And Cordell also noted that there was back-to-back nice pass breakups from JAD, that's Jalen Armour-Davis, and Jaire Alexander. And why does JAD get the front and center image right here on the graphic? Well, let's be honest. I'd have to think he's a roster bubble player. It was news during the OTAs and mandatory minicamp. They were trying him out for safety, just for you-know-whats and giggles. I think that kind of tells you where they're at in a very jam-packed DB room that's stacked with young corners, and this is a contract year for the former 2022 fourth-round pick. And as promised, Jeff's notes on the kicking competition. Tyler Loop was 6 for 6. All of his attempts were from 40 and in. John Hoyland, the competitor himself, 4 of 5. His miss was from 40. John's the undrafted rookie out of Wyoming. Tyler is the day 3 pick out of Arizona. Obviously, you have a front runner when you spend a 6th round draft capital pick on a kicker. But in this post-Justin Tucker era that we now live in, I think it's safe to say anything is on the table. Tylan Wallace checking in. Ravens flock we back with a Twitter caption of a sick over-the-shoulder grab. Tylan, of course, coming off yet another season where he just continues to be timely. He's timely. Matter of fact, I think we should start calling him Timely Tylan because he's always making a play, even though it's a very small sample size. Best of luck to him. He's been a bubble player in recent years. I get the sense that he's a lock this year, given what he's given them in big moments. Big moments. Nearly a scary day for Zay. Jeff referred to it as eventful. He caught a short pass that he turned into a long touchdown to get full teamwork kickstarted. Later, he appeared to turn his ankle and limped off the field. Zay missed a few plays and returned and made several catches. He looked good. So at the beginning of this little synopsis from Jeff, your heart sinks. At the end, you can breathe. But anything with Zay's health, being that he was unavailable for them when it mattered the most last year, obviously is pertinent. And this is what I referenced for the Jets. Oh, dear goodness. Justin Fields was carted off the field this morning. Schefter notes, I think this tweet has actually been updated since I threw it in. I thought it was a toe rather than an Achilles, but let's just see where we're at. Okay, it's being referred to as a lower leg injury. He was carted to the locker room with a lower leg injury. And by the way, this isn't even Schefter's account right here on the screen, which is what I'm now seeing. Okay? So don't read the text on the screen. Know that the actual verified Adam Schefter says that Fields was carted to the locker room with an apparent lower leg injury. I'm just going to take that off the screen right now. Wow. If that is as serious as it comes across, and when the cart comes out, you just don't know. Dre is saying dislocated toe. Where are you seeing that? Man, either way, whatever it is just brutal. Now, Jordan Schultz a couple hours ago noting that Aaron Glenn, the head coach of the Jets, is saying that he is dealing, in fact, with a toe and he should be okay. Let's make sure this is what you need to do in the Twitter space these days. You need to triple check where these accounts are coming from. And indeed, Jordan says via Aaron Glenn, the head coach of the New York Jets, that he should be okay. He's dealing with a toe. Wow. Okay. So that kind of ended better than it started there. And I'm sorry I didn't have the most up-to-date tweet in there for you. Anyway, the Jets, I bring it in because one, they're on the schedule. And two, we got a good look at Justin Fields last year in what was a six-game sample size in division for the Steelers. He went 4-2. They turned to Russell Wilson. I don't know why. I would have stuck with Fields. Easier said than done when you got a Super Bowl champion in your room. He's on the back nine of his career. You bring him in as a huge personality. The media is calling for him. Tough. It's a tough situation to be in, but best wishes for Justin Fields. What is going on in the Discord? Everybody's telling me to look at the Discord. Am I missing something? Did something happen? Are more people coming after me? I don't know. Twitter's ablaze right now. I don't know what's happening in the Discord, but let's just quickly pop into it. It's a 24/7 hub for conversation surrounding Baltimore sports, and Dre's just trying to let me know about the Justin injury specifics. Okay. I thought something else was going on. Thank you. Yeah, I know that the Baltimore Banner folks are kind of coming after me today. I don't know why. We're going to get to that in just a second, but just speaking generally, I don't understand why when you drop in an opinion, something, a respectful opinion that is critical, I don't know why folks take it to the nth degree and leave it with respond with such, personal shots. I'll never really understand that, but we'll get to that in just a second. This is the Discord server for those of you that haven't joined yet. We are, how many deep are we these days? 878. So I would love to get to 900 at some point. It's free. It's a great place to hang out with other like-minded Baltimore sports fans and really just sports in general. It's a 24/7 conversation and a hub for just you guys, for the community. It's really the live chat on steroids, especially the Bobby After Dark section. This has been quiet of late. I don't know why. That's what I said too. It's been quiet as you know what in here. There's Jabo, and Jabo's in the live chat too. The dude's everywhere. So anyway, would love for you guys to go check it out and join the program. Just drop the link into the live chat. Okay. Let's get caught up to speed before my final quick hit on Super Chats. We left off with Pop Punk Cowboy. We begin and kick things back off, I should say, with Cameron Walker, who's celebrating 2 months of channel membership. And Cam, what's up, Cam? He says, football season is in full swing and couldn't be more excited. Get to see us play again August 16th in Dallas. Keep grinding. More success on the way. Love the pod. We love you, Cam. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. And happy football season to you as well. Sod Blitz 34 says, don't know if you can screen grab Discord, but check football chat just now. I will. I'll take a look. It's a filthy graphic right there. That is. It's a filthy graphic from Sod. We're going to have to take a look at that, and I can concentrate. Thanks for letting me know, brother. Kevin is back. I'm usually on the audio space due to always working during the live, but since I'm on vacation this week, I wanted to make some time to actually catch a live. Great to have you, Kevin, and happy vacation to you. Where are you up to? What's going on? Pop Punk Cowboy is back. The tan and black snapback is clean and a beer koozie, although I don't drink, so Liquid Death will be used with it. Hell yeah. Let's go. Love the koozie being purchased. Douglas H. Brown Sr. says, Bobby, I bought my grandson the hoodie you recommended. Awesome. He's going to look good in it. Can't wait to see a photo. And thanks for all the photos that you've sent as through email, Douglas. We really appreciate it. It's been awesome going back and forth with you there. God King says sent. It's a video of Zay, the interview. Perfect. I'll make sure Sarah knows that. Edwin says Lamar's regular season interceptions, 2024. 1, a Bateman dropped pass. 2, a Justice Hill stripped catch, which was an incredible play. Wasn't it Peyton? Peyton something, right? For Pittsburgh. Am I remembering that correctly? Their rookie, I want to say. 3, Andrews tipped pass. 4, Bateman stopped the route, stands to reason Lamar could finish with 0 picks. 2025 season, hashtag LJ always growing. It's insane. That is insane to think about that. The more and more you think about that, he could have had a literal clean stat sheet. It's insane. I have Horace Torres says, Bobby, the streets are talking. You got Twitter beef? There's a lot going on in the Twitter space, which we're about to get to in just a second here. Pen 15 Shaft, celebrating 4 months of channel membership. And they write, got my Vault merch order email. When I saw my order number was CJ Mosley, I got hype. Let's flocking go. Congratulations to CJ Mosley on retirement. Congratulations to Pen 15 Shaft for the merch delivery. Appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for an awesome start to the Friday. Practice will be underway in the next hour or so. Press conferences will be later on. And as much as I want to go live on my personal channel, I can't today. I got to get to New York for business. Sarah will be solo tomorrow. And we got more to discuss before I get on out of here. This is the political side of yesterday's press conference. It has to be talked about because it's garnering national attention. And being that John Harbaugh and his brother Jim recently visited the White House, it's a part of the story. Donald Trump had the Harbaugh family and really a good chunk of their extended families to the Oval Office for a visit within the last couple of weeks, pre-training camp. And as we know, this time that we're living in right now is not just divisive. It's just, well, it's a bloodbath. And I shared some opinions on a recent Baltimore Banner piece that was published. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, let's cover how it all kind of unfolded yesterday. And that was with this question posed to John Harbaugh that he clearly did not appreciate, took it in a different direction. I really commend him for how he answered this question. Listen to this.
White House with your brother, obviously it's a divisive political time. In the past, Donald Trump has said, denigrating things about Baltimore, including no he would want to be there. As a prominent representative of Baltimore and Maryland, how do you kind of balance that?
Well, how you frame that question? I would frame the question like, you got a chance to go visit with the president, man. What was that experience like? It was amazing. It was awesome. And I promise you, I root for our president. I want our president to be successful, just like I want my quarterback to be successful, and I want my team to be successful. And it was an amazing experience. It's not often you get invited and you get a chance to do something like that as a family. We were there. My daughter was there. Jim's daughters were there. My mom and dad were there. My mom and President Trump. Just seeing how he treated her was really meaningful. And that's the fourth president. Now Jim met 7. Jim has met 7 presidents, so he's got the lead on me. I think he pointed it out. Did you guys notice that? Right, he's got 7. I got 4. So had a chance to meet President Obama twice. Incredible experience. Had a chance to meet President Biden when he was vice president in Iraq and spent a lot of time with him in Iraq, which was amazing. And then, 24, 25 years old, Jim got invited also to the White House to meet President Reagan because he was a Heisman Trophy candidate. And we got to go as a family, so I met President Reagan, have a picture in my office of that. So those are moments that I definitely cherish, and it means a lot.
Look, I got no problem with the way that John Harbaugh handled that question. I know, obviously, the live chat, there's name calling being thrown around. It's a bloodbath. It's how it goes in politics, which is a sad state of where we are. But look, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. And if you want to pop off, being that I've already given you over 60 minutes worth of Ravens football content, then go do what you got to do. Look, I thought that the question could have been posed differently. And I said as much online. Sarah transcribed what you just heard, and I then quote tweeted Sarah with the specific video clip. And the reporter, who it's so muffled at the beginning, I didn't hear who it was. Clearly it was a male voice, but I didn't know who it was. And so I quote tweeted Sarah, and I had decided to throw in an opinion. And I said, hey, a divisive political time is how this reporter tees himself up prior to posing what I felt like his divisive question. The irony here reeks John Harbaugh wasn't having it. Well, unbeknownst to me, it's a guy by the name of Kyle Goon who writes columns for the Baltimore Banner. Sarah and I just so happen to share Kyle's work from time to time, and I think, matter of fact, he's a talented writer. So in no way was this a personal shot. Kyle decided that he would take it to personal levels, and I went ahead and bookmarked a couple of these just so that I could kind of keep you up to speed on how this response has gotten to this. I just don't understand how we got here. I said, what's up, Kyle? I'm gathering you were on the other end of this. It's nothing personal. I just don't agree with how you posed your question. Okay. He then came back with, and I should say this, that was in response, okay, to this. He said, hey, Bobby, tell the people about all the questions you come to Baltimore to ask. And by the way, here is, just for the other side of the aisle, here they are, 44 and Harbaugh hanging out at the White House. Ozzy's in the back. Look at Torrey Smith looking fresh. Look at T. Sizzle over there on the left-hand side of the screen. So Harbaugh's not lying when he says he goes to the office no matter who is in it. And I respect that. To me, that makes a lot of sense. But here it is. So I responded to Kyle when he quote tweeted, and let me make sure you guys are getting this down because it's a little bit confusing to follow. So basically what happened here was Kyle found my tweet, and again, I didn't know it was him. Let's make sure we go back here. I didn't realize when I said this right here that Kyle Goon was on the other side of it. I couldn't hear it. It was muffled. So he quote tweets it. He finds it himself, and maybe he was tagged in it. Who knows? And he says, hey, Bobby, tell the people about all the questions you come to Baltimore to ask. I mean, look, I'm really not trying to get into this bloodbath with you. I'm just sharing my opinion on how you unfairly, in my opinion, asked the question in a press conference setting. In no way do I feel like the question shouldn't have been asked. I think it should have been asked in a different tone. So I wrote back to him right here. What's up, Kyle? Gathering you're on the other end of this. Nothing personal. Just don't agree with how you posed your question. I don't know. Felt like that was a decent thing to say. Doesn't escalate anything. And then he puts forth this piece earlier today. And he says, John Harbaugh had a, quote, amazing experience at the White House. But if he had taken some time to think about what it meant to have a photo op with a president that bullies his home state, he would see why folks are disappointed in that decision. Okay. I wrote back, quote tweeted. I said, hey, I don't know Kyle personally, nor do I have a problem with him. We've read and shared his stuff before on the show, as we have. That said, I find it a bit frustrating that a reporter with a divisive political agenda is granted direct access to the head coach in a press conference setting. I can count on two hands how many folks in the digital and creator space who cover the football team on a regular basis would kill for this kind of access. Objectivity is the name of the journalism game, and I felt like Kyle fell short of that yesterday. Again, there's nothing personal about this. This is my opinion on how he, as a columnist, shared his opinion on the matter. At the same time, you share your opinion in a columnist format, right? In a column format. You don't inject your opinion into a press conference setting. That's where I'm at. Evan, I'm not telling him how to do his job. I'm reacting to it. And yeah, I'm being critical of it. He's going to go ahead and do it again. I can't stop him. And all power to him, because that's why he's a columnist. Now, a lot of folks responded to this with, he's not a journalist, he's a columnist. So have we just taken out all journalism principles from what it takes to be a columnist? I don't follow that. So anyway, he had a whole lot to say as a result. There's a lot of back and forth. I'm trying not to take it to a new level. I'm going to stick to that. Kyle, meanwhile, is doubling down. I think he feels threatened when really I'm just trying to stay pretty even keel about this. Meanwhile, he's going after me. Bobby, you don't know what it means to do what I do because you've never done it. The only time I've ever seen you is at the Combine when you posted gleeful recaps of your partying. I do love a good cigar. And asked a hard-hitting question about Andrew Voorhees on the heels of the Tucker scandal. Oh, goodness gracious. Unbelievable. How about this? Is that something? I'm not willing to stoop that low. There's no personal shots in it for me. I'm weighing in with my opinion. And in response, there's just pure below the belt stuff that's in my mentions right now. And that's not just from Kyle. So I don't believe we'll be having anybody from the Baltimore Banner on anytime soon, which is unfortunate, because I happen to think that they do great work. And we note that all the time. And I guess we're not having Jonas on anytime soon either, because he quote tweeted me with a screenshot of an Emmanuel Acho interview that we had back in February and ripped me for that. But the truth is, had he watched the interview, like I think a lot of you did, he would know that Emmanuel was very insightful, very generous with his time. And while we didn't agree with where he ended up casting his vote, we had a spirited conversation, and he and Sarah had a tremendous debate. So, I'm not sure what this is all about. I used to have him on my show all the time, but he has since unfollowed me, does not answer any texts. And I don't know what I did to these guys, folks. But this is the name of the game, I suppose, when you're in content. You weigh in with an opinion when it comes to the political space. Maybe I'll learn my lesson. Or maybe I won't be shunned or convinced that speaking up is illegal. Not going to happen. So anyway, to reiterate, that is how everything transpired from a result of yesterday's press conference when John Harbaugh was asked about his recent White House visit. That is that. We try not to add politics in here very often. I think, to me, the question absolutely should have been asked. It's something that I know many of you are wondering and were wondering why John Harbaugh made time for that with his family. At the same time, I just felt like it could have been posed in a different light. I'll leave it at that. And look, I tell you what, those personal shots keep going like Angel and everybody in there. You know I have a block feature, right? I don't do it often, but if you're going to that degree and you're resorting to that, there is a block button. So appreciate you guys for being here. Let's get to some super chats. And Adit says, news, Orioles sign comp pick Slater to Brun. Comp pick Slater to Brun. Thanks for the O's news, Adit. I hadn't actually seen that yet. Has it hit the Discord yet? Because there is an Orioles server in here. Yeah, Slater to Brun. There it is, 37th pick. $4 million signing bonus. Appreciate you, Adit. Hope you're having a great summer. God King says, I don't know, Bobby. Good beef is sometimes good for business. It might be good for business, but I really don't. I don't enjoy it. I like weighing in with my opinion and not feeling like I have to be scared to do so or shunned as a result of doing so, which is kind of what it feels like today. But what are you going to do? They want to silence you, I guess. Not willing to be silenced. And I guess that's part of the problem. Just to finish this thought, you know, I'd like to think that I'm respectful of all viewpoints and, you know, I have my opinions, and this is a sports podcast about the Baltimore Ravens, and 99% of the time, that's what we give you. That 1% of the time, there's the opportunity to, or it's in the news cycle like it was this week, and we end up going in that direction. So I hope you guys appreciate where I'm coming from. I hope you appreciate that really there is no, you know, ill intent with any of this. And that's where I'm at on everything. That is the largest quick hit of all time. All right. That's the deal. Christopher Saxey and Big Fesh 927. Thank you both for believing in what we're building. This is your monthly shout out because of your support that you give us through Patreon. Patreon.com/RavensVault podcast is where you guys can learn more about what we have offered to you. Thanks to both of you guys for all the support. All righty. Hope you guys have a great Thursday. Sarah will be back in solo form tomorrow, and I will be back on Monday. The two of us will be for week 2 of training camp. Please like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. And a special thanks to all of you gift givers out there. I think we left off about 850 channel Voltrons. So thank you, and perhaps a big-time Friday awaits us coming up tomorrow with Sarah, and she'll have plenty to discuss after today's press conferences and that Zay Flowers video that you guys keep tagging me in. So thank you. Have an awesome Thursday. And as always, Voltrons, we will see you soon here inside the vault.